Hi, good morning. This is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. This is a channel that brings to you every week a policy analysis, an occasional business story, and an occasional conversation. But at this time, right now at 8:15 in the morning, on weekdays, Monday to Friday, we bring you news behind the news. We look at key headlines and what are the implications of the headlines. And as usual, we have some interesting stuff for you. But before I go ahead, let me introduce my co-anchors. Anchors, I've got Katya. Welcome, Katya. Good to have you here. And then the second one is Anurag. Great to see you. Thanks, Anurag. And the three titles that we'll talk about today are given on your screen. The first is a statement by the Secretary last night, a public statement, which suggests that India could make things extremely difficult for India, that USA would make things extremely difficult for India. The second one is gold. Is it worth investing or is it not worth investing? And the third one is India's EV plans may just go flying out the window. Why? Listen. Please click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. And yes, click the like button if you like this program. It helps us. Most important, please tell all your friends about us. It helps us enormously. It helps us grow the audience. And now let's go to the story itself. The US Secretary made an announcement in public that India must give up BRICS, give up association BRICS, stop importing arms from the USSR, from Russia, and also that it must not go along with the de-dollarization moves that the BRICS countries are getting into. There were other demands which were not stated, and that is what US wants to sell to India, namely agricultural products. And yesterday, in a very, very interesting move, the government, almost anticipating that, has reduced import duties of most agricultural products. Of course, the government of India will sell this story to Indians saying that we wanted to bring down consumer prices so that if imports are allowed, oil prices will come down, other prices will come down. But what about the farmer, which constitutes almost 50% of India's population? And that is a very key factor in India's consumption story. It means all of India's talk about a Viksit Bharat will come to nothing if you jettison agriculture at this stage. Second, some of the US demands are preposterous. It is difficult for India to move out of any arms deal with Russia, given that the recent war skirmish that we had with Pakistan, we use S-400s, which are Russian equipment. Two, almost all US equipment in the war theaters of Europe, and sometimes even in the Middle East, have proved to be ineffective. And the US wants India to buy its equipment. It's like the Western deal, a Western helicopter deal that the UK thrust on India. And if you look at the chart next to it, you'll find that thanks to Trump, almost every sector in the world has started registering a decline compared to the sectors last year. Whether it's USA, or it's Europe, or it's India, or it's China. And the responsibility is only one, USA. And the hurt to USA is yet to manifest itself in full. Watch the next 2 months and see the difference. Anyway, that's my story. Let's go into the next story, and the next story is from Katya, which is very interesting with the most interesting commodity, gold.
So, so gold has been the hero for the last few years. It's one of those sectors which can consistent returns, always been going up, holding its way through market crashes and uncertainties. But very interestingly, Quant Mutual Fund has come up with a report which said in the next 2 months, gold might see a pull. If you remember, right, like a month or so back, it reached 1 lakh per 10 gram, which is actually the absolute ceiling that nobody could ever think about for a long time. But from here on, it believes it's been volatile ever since that it can fall 12 to 15% in the next 2 months, while the long term and medium term, ability viability of this metal is very very much intact. But short term, it's going to face problems. One of the reasons, and many other issues is happening because gold has gone through a lot of deviations, and gold should always be measured in terms of currency as well. Dollar index has also been in its highs in January, and ever since it's fallen. Ideally, it has a reverse relationship, but that relationship had changed in the last 1 year. So that is also another big issue. That's something which you have to watch out to be able to track gold. And then crude oil prices have been also been going up, so we do not know. They also have a very inverse relationship, if you remember right. But the only problem, but another interesting thing that the Quant Mutual Fund reports is that when Bitcoin which is actually seen as an alternate, actually gold is also an alternate. Bitcoin is the modern alternate of gold, might also see some amount of volatility because of the current, the global squeeze in liquidity. It's going to affect it as well. So, what are your thoughts, sir? You've always been
A,
always been supportive.
a gold watcher, yes.
Yes.
I don't own gold, but I watch gold. Okay, but if you look at gold, there are two lessons that we learned in the last 50 years, especially the last 20 years. Never second guess gold. Gold prices are decided not by demand and supply, they're decided by the gold miners themselves who do a lot of hedging and de hedging. So they sell futures. If the price is good, they sell the gold in the future market and then produce that much of gold. And the gold miners will decide when the prices must fall down
Mm.
as a correction. So any analyst who tries to second guess gold either has got a close link with the miners themselves or is maybe wrong, but he may be right too. And there's a second thing. Bitcoin is lovely to look at, and Trump is backing it. Trump wants to promote good Bitcoin so that America's assets go up. But for me, Bitcoin is a gray area, is a dark room. It reminds me of the tulip scan a couple of centuries ago. It could be anything. If it's good, it's good. But yes, very interesting analysis, and gold is going to be watched very closely, especially in India. And that takes us to the third story, and that is by Anurag. Anurag, come on.
Good morning. India's automotive sector faces an immediate crisis as production lines could shut down within days. Bajaj Auto and TVS Motor have recently issued warnings that their inline and upcoming two-wheeler EV manufacturing will be severely impacted by the coming weeks if China doesn't resume shipments of rare earth magnets. This crisis is not only in India, but the ripple effects extend globally as automotive executives from major manufacturers like General Motors, Volkswagen, Toyota, and many more are now scrambling to reach Beijing, urging Chinese authorities to relax export restrictions on these critical components. Moreover, Ford has even halted some of its production for the same reason. Why are these magnets so important, you may ask? These rare earth magnets are the invisible backbone of modern vehicles. These materials power everything from windshield wipers to anti-locking braking systems, and even to electric motor assemblies in EVs. Not only that, these magnets are essential for semiconductor manufacturing and military equipment productions as well, making them strategically important across multiple industries. China's export restrictions emerged in April through a new regulatory framework requiring exporters to obtain licenses and submit detailed documentation about end use applications. This policy followed the tensions over US tariffs and aims to prevent rare earth materials from reaching to military or restricted applications. China leverages its overwhelming dominance in this sector, controlling over 90% of global rare earth magnet processing capacity, giving it unprecedented power to influence global supply chains. As production deadlines deadlines approach and inventories run low, India's automotive sector faces its most challenging supply chain crisis in recent memory. The government recently launched a new guidelines for EV schemes to position India as global manufacturing hub, projecting 140% growth in battery-powered passenger vehicle production for 2025. However, these plans depend heavily on Chinese supplies, with India importing $7 billion worth of EV batteries and rare earth magnets from China in 2024 alone. Can the country achieve its manufacturing goals while remaining dependent on a single supplier that can cut off access at any moment, as seen right now? What's your take on this, sir?
It's a move that the government does not seem to have paid much attention to, or maybe it does not want to talk about it. The fact is that China has actually banned export, so there's no licensing procedure also, has banned exports of this mineral and these magnets to India and to the US and some other countries. The US thought it could, by giving a 90-day suspension of trade tariffs, the Chinese would allow import of rare earths. China has not agreed. And in case of India, China's believed to be quite upset about India's stance over Ladakh and over the Pakistan war, and is itching to have a tripartite discussion. India is in a fix. It does not know what to do. To please the Chinese, just 2 days ago, the government said it's going to relax investment norms of China. Now, that will not be enough. Watch the space very carefully, because China is now aggressive against USA and to some extent even against India. Anyway, that finishes the three items that we wanted to talk about. And it's question time, and I've got some questions already. But before I go ahead, just the three reminders once again. Please click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. Do click the like button. And most important, please tell all your friends about us. We are growing, but we want to grow faster. And that gets to the first question. And the question is interesting. With India buckling down to the US pressures on agriculture, will India become the 55th state of the USA? Anything is possible. If India buckles down, the consequences for the economy and for the people of India will be horrendous. If it does not buckle down, expect the US to savagely lash out. It may freeze the assets of Indian businessmen like it froze Russia's assets. The US is notorious for being vengeful when it does not have its way. So there's a personal stake of India's policymakers, because remember Lavrov's statement in Delhi at the Rice in the Hill conference that the US has approached every policymaker in India with a list of which universities their children are in and which bank accounts they have in the world. Difficult times, dangerous times, India will have to navigate very carefully. And yes, let's take the second question. Second question is on gold, obviously. Will will gold demand in India reduce? Katya, your take?
Even when the gold bull run was happening, physical gold demand has actually been very slight and inching down, even when consumption was very high. It has all been high, but interesting, the last few months, ETF sales have gone up really, really well, which means gold not to wear gold to invest is what people are looking at because of the promised returns.
You're right. And the biggest consumers of gold in the world are India and China. But in the last 3 months, China has become the biggest purchaser of gold because it wants to ramp up its reserves of gold in anticipation of the currency war that's going to take place.
Yeah, yeah, central banks, yeah.
In central banks. India is also purchasing gold, but not in the same quantities that China is. India, India's Reserve Bank prefers to give the government the money as dividend.
Didn't the state
Okay,
of Florida also go for gold as a currency, as a tender? Isn't that an interesting development?
it is the Florida thing is a very interesting development because
Hmm.
effectively Florida said we don't care for the dollar, we care for gold and we care for stability. Very,
Right.
very interesting development in Florida, and that has shaken up the whole of USA.
Hmm.
Let's see what happens. But yes, very interesting times for gold. Gold is worth watching, not just for its metal value, but for the things it does around the world. Thanks. And that takes me to the third question, and that is what's the future of the automobile industry? Everything depends on how India handles China. China's a next door neighbor. You can do without the US, you can't do without China. You have to make mend fences with all our neighbors. Unfortunately, India has a problem with our neighbors. It has problems with Pakistan, it has problems with Bangladesh. It is even having some problems with Sri Lanka, which fortunately have eased a little bit. India must learn to live peacefully with all its neighbors, and this could be the first step. Anyway, that brings me. Oh, yes, there's one more question. Is de dollarization possible? It's already started. China's already told all the BRICS countries that they can do the trade in RMB instead of dollars. And many countries have agreed. And China has a new banking financial system, bypassing the SWIFT altogether. So it's happening. How much it'll happen, nobody knows. But it started and it's growing fantastically. Okay. That brings me to the end of today's session. Thank you for being with us. And have a wonderful day ahead. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Take care. Good luck.